Premier Palaszczuk and other ministers and members of the Queensland Police Force and emergency response agencies for providing us with a very helpful briefing this afternoon on the very concerning situation here in Queensland, but not just in Queensland. The weather event that we're seeing here in Queensland is likely to move south, and we're already seeing that in northern New South Wales, and elements of this weather event are expected to return to parts of southern New South Wales as the week progresses. So this is a serious natural weather event, and this is a serious natural flooding event that we're seeing impact right throughout, everywhere from Bundaberg to the border. And all the way out to Toowoomba, but particularly in places like Gympie, this is a very serious situation. And the key message that we have is it's important for people to keep safe and to remain in place where they haven't been ordered to evacuate. This is incredibly important. People should not be driving around and looking at this event and sightseeing on those things. What we need people to do is remain at home in a place of shelter unless they've been ordered to evacuate to one of the many shelter centres that have been established by the Queensland Government. If it's flooded, forget it. This is a constant message that is given by governments all around the country during these flood events, not just for your own safety, but for the safety of those who will have to go in and assist if you get yourself into trouble. So for the sake of those incredible volunteers and the many other professional response agencies that are out there, keeping people safe as best as they possibly can. Those resources are needed to get to those who are going to need them in significant circumstances. And so we ask everyone to remain at home, to remain safe. It's going to be a very anxious night here in Brisbane. As we see the rain continue to fall and the impact of this flooding event continue to have its way right across the city and right across the metropolitan area and reaching into all the creeks and the inundation of homes that we will see. But what I want to assure everyone of is what we also worked on today is the planning for the recovery has already begun, and the resources and the support that will be necessary to ensure the clean-up can get underway. I commend the Queensland Government for the work they're doing with the councils in a proactive way to put them on the right footing to be able to get in there as soon as the weather event moves on and people are able to get out there and start cleaning up again, that they'll work hand in glove together with the state government, the local government, and the federal government will be supporting also wherever we're requested to do so. So far, the federal government has responded to every request that has been made of us, and in particular, I want to commend the work of the Australian Defence Force, and particularly those involved with the two Australian Army MRH-90 Taipan helicopters, which have been very essential for many rescue operations. In fact, 3 lives were saved yesterday as a direct result of their actions. But as we think of that, we think of the 6 lives that have already been lost, and we extend our sympathies to the families of those who have lost loved ones in this terrible flood. And we also have one additional person who was missing, and we fear for their safety, and we don't want to see additional people added to this terrible loss of life that we've seen already. And the way to avoid that is for people to remain safe, to remain at home, and to get to a place of safety where they've been instructed to do so. Emergency Management Australia, together with the Defence Forces, have been in the very room I've just left, right from the outset of these floods, and working closely together to ensure the best of the work that comes from the Bureau of Meteorology and others is fed into the command centre here, and the best possible responses can be put in place. But I do appreciate the Premier opening up that briefing to me today. It's important for us to understand how we can further help. We'll be looking to see how we can help, not just in the immediate effects of these floods. I'll ask Minister McKenzie to go through the payments that we have already authorised. We will be moving into providing the Disaster Recovery Allowance into the affected local government areas, and when the additional local government areas are identified by the Queensland Government, we'll be moving into those as well. There is already the $1,000 payment which we have activated for 2 of the local government areas. I anticipate that will also be going to those affected in other local government areas, including the City of Brisbane shortly. But then there is the Recovery Allowance, which relates to income support payments for those. There are so many businesses who have gone through so much through the pandemic and now to face the losses through these floods. And we'll be standing with them just as we have through the many other things they've had to go through over these last couple of years. And those Disaster Recovery Allowance payments that are made by the federal government will be able to support them in those areas, and further support payments will be assessed once we get through the immediate impact of the flood events themselves. So with that, I'll hand over to Minister Mackenzie.